Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. K. Anil Kumar, Assistant Professor, Discipline of Anthropology, Indira Gandhi National Open University, New Delhi. Today we will discuss about the module Tribal Religion from the paper Tribal Cultures of India. So students, let us see what we are going to learn in this module. We are going to learn in this module first the definition of religion, theory and concept of religion, tribal religion in India and changes in tribal religion. The religious life of tribes in India encompasses a wide spectrum of beliefs, practices and rituals that it would be myopic if not futile to understand tribal religion in the classical anthropological sense. However, for conceptual clarity, it is imperative that the discussion of ground reality of tribal religion in India be understood at the backdrop of theoretical developments in the anthropological study of religion, at least the works of the founding fathers. In India, in the Indian context, aside religious revivalism giving form, content and shape to the emerging discourse on indigenous religion, the dimensions of understanding Indian tribal religion has pertinently been from a Eurocentric viewpoint, both conceptually and theoretically, many a times failing to reflect the Indian social reality. To establish the antiquity of tribal religion would take us back into distance fast past, since some religious beliefs and practices still reflect and vestiges of prehistoric past. However, this does not warrant tribal religion as an elementary and primitive form of religion, since many tribes also possess complex religious beliefs which students of religion would regard as higher form of religious thought. For instance, among the Australian Aboriginals, ethnographic studies have shown the existence of complex religious beliefs contrary to what Durkheim theorized as the nascent form of religious belief. And notably, in India, among 600 above odd tribes, there is enormous diversification of religious affiliation and identity, ranging from a rudimentary form of what anthropologists identified as magico-religious belief to organized religion. Among the tribes like the Naga, Mizo, Kuki in northeast India, there is a predominance of Christianity, and among the tribes of central, northwestern and south India like the Gond, Bhils, Munda and Toda, the assimilation into Hinduism is much observed, while among certain tribes like the Asur, Birhor, Chenchu, Ho and Andaman Islander tribes, the adherents still largely follow the traditional form of religion. Also, the resurgence of the traditional religious identity among the tribes of central India, Arunachal Pradesh and Meghalaya in the form of Adidharam, Dhunia, Polo and Singh Khasi have added new dimension to the study of tribal religion. In this slide, let us know the definition of religion among the tribal groups. The popular definition of tribal religion is understood as a magico-religious complex, wherein the community subscribes the composite beliefs in efficacious magical acts, supernatural entities, both personal and impersonal, and propitiation of ghosts and spirits. This particular understanding echoes, according to Melford Spiro's definition of religion, as culturally patterned interaction with culturally postulated superhuman beings. Similarly, Taylor had also defined religion as the belief in supernatural beings. Generally, the shared beliefs in supernatural beings pervades every known tribal religion. Although various theories were proposed to understand the religious life of primitive peoples, the popular conception remained a belief in supernatural entities with preoccupation of magical rites and rituals. There are multiple perspectives to understand and conceptualize tribal religion. Nevertheless, there are certain characteristic features which differentiate tribal religion from the world religions. Tribal religions are localized and conceptual, contextual. The cosmology, creation of stories, myths, legends, and worldview reflect the immediate natural surrounding and the environment reality. Thus, whether it is the sacredness of saltry among the Oron or cattle among the Near or various totemic animals among the Australian Aborigines or reverence of trees, rivers and mountains among various tribes, tribal religions characterizes the tangible reality of ecological conditions that are indispensable for the survival of the community. Tribal religions are devoid of religious text. There is no written tradition, but religious traditions are passed down from generations through the words of mouth, whether they are complex religious treatises, mythical stories, magic spells, symbols, or elaborate ritual enactment, etc. In fact, the significance of oral tradition maintains the unique identity of tribal religions. Tribal religions are marked by a belief system in different spirits, where the spirits are believed to be active agents in the physical world influencing the daily life. Importantly, the spirits are believed to be acting on the destiny of the individuals and community both as malevolent and benevolent forces. Contrary to popular beliefs, tribal religions are not devoid of the presence of a powerful creator. The belief in Almighty God is common among many tribes. For instance, the Konaik Naga call the Almighty God as a Gawang. The Nuer call it as a Kot Nihal. Among the Dinka, it known as Nihalik, while among the tribes of Chota Nagpur, the creator god is known by names like Dharmesh and Singbonga, etc. Every tribal religion has religious specialist. that is, priests or ritual technicians who presides over religious matters concerning to the community. In most cases, these religious specialists also provide their services as mediums, necromancers, and clairvoyants, and which are also the basis of shamanistic beliefs and practices. Among Indian tribes, the role of religious head is known by various names like Pahan among the Munda and Ran, Badava among the Bhil, Diuru among the Ho, Kemoho among the Angami Naga, and so on. But, for instance, among the Trobriand Islanders, where the head chief is also the chief magician, combining both religious and political authority is not a common feature among the tribes of India. The relationship with the spirits in the tribal worldview is both vertical and horizontal. In eschatology of the world religions, the spirits or souls depart for the other world after death, which is a vertical relationship, but in the tribal worldview, there is a concept of life after death and the place of birth, place of dead souls. However, the spirits of dead persons are also believed to dwell with the living, thus giving a form of belief in guardian spirits and also ancestral worship. Let us know about the theory and concept of tribal religion. Tribal religion is also variously called as animism, primitive religion, native religion, indigenous religion, and by a host of other vernacular terms. The concept was commonly associated with the existence of beliefs in supernatural beings among what was known as primitive people and societies of lower races. Here, the basic conceptualization being the existence of magico-religious beliefs, which was understood as a vestiges of primeval human cultures, if not a precursor of religious idea preceding the highly evolved monotheistic religion of Europeans. Interestingly, scholars like Webb, Fred, Nisdet, and Spencer's heralded and demise of religion, which they believe would be superseded by reason and scientific temper. The main argument was that the tribes, primitive people, possessed the lowest form of religious belief, steeped in irrationality and superstitions. This idea of evolutionary progression of religion in human history generated important theories on the origin of religion, where small-scale and isolated societies were de facto identified as inhabiting the lowest form of religious belief. The theory of tribal or primitive religion occupied a prominent space in the development of anthropological thought. It was the founder of British anthropology, that is Sir E.B. Taylor, who first coined the term animism that became a common terminology and provided the conceptual underpinning to understand the religion of primitive peoples. E.B. Taylor's theory came at the backdrop of his criticism of Max Muller's theory of naturalism, which proposed that the personification of natural forces and objects like the sun, moon, wind, and rain, etc., and the myths and legends that arise from these personifications is the beginning of religion. Herbert Spencer, taking a step further beyond Taylor's animistic theory, gave the ghost theory, which posited a dualistic concept of a sort of inner phantom and the body where the spirit is capable of detached existence as to be appear in a dream or lead an independent existence. Importantly, Spencer's related ghost theory to the pre-logical and unperceptive mental functioning of primitives, lacking coherence in differentiating dreams and reality, as well as the dead and living. Another important perspective on primitive religion gained prominence after Emile Durkheim's work on totemism. It was W. Robertson Smith who first developed totemism as the most primitive stage of religious life. Totemism holds that all religions originated in the belief of primitive tribes, where each clan within the tribe identified themselves with a particular plant or animal species, or clans attributed some form of spiritual kinship with animal or plant species, which was held to be sacred and therefore not to be harmed. The collective rites and festivals directed toward the totemic object were understood to be the origin of religious rites and rituals. Emile Durkheim, in the elementary forms of religious life, further developed the theory of totemism, basing his study on the Australian Aborigines, chiefly the Arunta tribe. According to Durkheim, the essence of religious rites consists in worshipping the society, thereby establishing the social solidarity, and the most primitive form of this self-worship is totemism. In the anthropological fieldwork tradition, it was in the works of scholars like Franz Boas, Bronislaw Malinowski, Evans Pritchards, and Godfrey Leonhardt, etc., who established an ethnographic tradition of the study of tribal religion. Let us now discuss about the tribal religion in India. The publication of E.B. Taylor's Primitive Society in 1871, where the second volume was entirely devoted to religion, generated an in-depth theoretical study of primitive religion. What Taylor coined as animism was divided into two dogmas. First, the belief in the existence of soul, and second, the belief in the pantheon of spirits extending up to a powerful almighty God. Taylor's definition gained prominence in the Indian context to label and identify tribal religions. For example, during the census of 1901, animism was taken as a chief identity marker to name a particular social formation as a tribes. However, for some reasons unknown, the term animism became a label for a crude and primitive form of magico-religious practice, where belief in magic was considered a predominant element, and this assumption became common to understand tribal religion in India. The British administrators and academics differed in their approach and attitude toward the tribal religious identity. For scholars like R.H. Risley, their approach was to distance tribes from what was identified as the evils of caste system, while scholars like J.H. Hutton, Hammond-Raff, and Elwin propounded a close interaction and resemblances between tribal religions and Hinduism. Hutton and other scholars advocated that the term animism be replaced with tribal religion in the context of India. J.H. Hutton, the foremost expert on Naga tribes, further proposed the theory of soul matter, which he believed underpinned the head-hunting practices, human sacrifice, and even cannibalism. Elsewhere, where the soul matter was seen as the essence of fertility for crops and livestock. Importantly, Hutton saw it difficult to draw a sharp distinction between tribal religions and Hinduism, which he felt was in a continuum. The term tribal religion, although paradoxical, is used in the Indian context Due to the diversity of religious beliefs and practices, the complexity is due to the fact that Indian tribes fall under different categories and theoretical orientation developed by social scientists. Dr. D.N. Majumdar developed the concept of Bongaism, basing on his ethnographic study on the Ho of Chota Nagpur. Bonga, which is an Indian equivalent of Melanesian term Mana, was proposed by some anthropologists as the nascent form of religious belief. Bonga is believed to be an impersonal power or an attribute permeating every space and giving life to all life forms. Thus, this power gives life to plants and animals. It is the attribute that makes the river flow, the wind to blow, the seeds to sprout, the rain to fall, and also cause epidemics and cure diseases. Majumdar also observes that the Ho impute the movement of rail, engine, vehicles and plane to impersonal power, calling it Bonga. Whereas LP Vidyarthi study showed some similarity between the Malar word Hosian and Bonga, but Gosayan, according to Vidyarthi, also referred to as a class of spirits guiding the people. The theory of Bongaism resembled the pre-animistic origin of religion theorized by R. Marred called animatism, according to whom primitive peoples believed that there is an impersonal occult power in certain persons and objects imbuing the supernatural properties. What anthropologists identify as animism is the most widespread belief among Indian tribes, with ethnographic data pouring in the form almost every region of the country. The belief is host of spirits and the existence of soul pervades every known tribal religion in India, ranging from small tribes like the Asur, Birhor, Chenchus and Kadar to larger groups like the Gonds, Santals and Orans. There are adverse animistic beliefs, but in all these tribal groups, the reverence for souls and spirits is pivotal for the understanding of tribal religion. The worship of nature is another important aspect of tribal religion. The reverence for natural bodies like the sun, moon and earth is a common feature. Among the Chota Nagpur tribes like the Munda, Santal, Malar, Birhor and Ho, the sun known as Singh Bongyas, revered as a supreme deity. The offering made to Mother Earth is common among the Santal, Oran, Juangs, Sohra and other Maria Muria of Bastar region. The worshipping of sun and moon is found among the tribes of Arunachal Pradesh and also among the Gar of Meghalaya and Kacharis in Assam. The reverence of sun, moon and earth is found, while in southern India, reverence for sun is found among the tribes like Toda, Koya, Kanikas and Kuralis. Similarly, totemisms, a common feature among the Indian tribal groups. The totemic clan is found among the Naga, Kharya and Munda. The Korean tribe of Manipur bears a totemic relation with the tiger. This feature is found among the Sangtam, Sumi and Lotha Naga. Also among the Bhils, Meena, Ho, Oran, Birhor, Gonds, Kili and Bilala. They have varying forms of totemic beliefs and practices. In these cases, the totemic beliefs assumes both the religious and kinship relationship among the tribes. The argument is that the term tribal religion should be considered a conceptual category rather than the definitional one, since tribal religion in India embraces a great deal of belief and practices that parochial terms like animism, totemism, spiritism, and naturalism would fail to reflect the empirical reality. So, students, now we'll know about the important characteristics of tribal religion. Tribal religions are an important aspect of oral tradition. The myth of origin, creation stories, and the nature of reality are all perpetuated through the word of mouth. Tribal religions are marked by a complex belief system in spirits. The world is believed to be inhabited by different of spirits influencing their daily social life. Tribal religions are devoid of religious text. Here, the human agents play a very vital or important role where religious sayings, proverbs, chants, and magical spell, etc., are transmitted from the elderly to the younger generation. Tribal religions are marked by the office of religious specialists and ritual technicians who mostly assume the post of religious heads or priests. These religious priests performs the rituals on behalf of the entire community. Let us discuss about tribal religion and Hindu civilization. Are tribes Hindus? Is a question. As of late become not only a persisting anthropological dilemma but also reawakened far-reaching identity polemics in democratic India. Prominent Indian social scientists like N.K. Bose, G.S. Ghure, S.C. Dubey, D.N. Majumdar and Andre Bethe have established a close historical interaction between tribes and caste societies. According to G.S. Ghure, Indian tribes were never in isolation but were a part of Hindu civilization, and their cultural beliefs reflects a rudimentary form of Hindu society. As such, he called tribes as a backward Hindus. Scholars like N.K. Bose and Mandelbaum were of the opinion that tribes are gradually becoming caste, and this process is continuing since time immemorial. N.K. Bose conducted his ethnographic study on the Joangs at Palhara in Orissa. The Joangs, who were originally forest tribes, were forced to migrate due to the forest policy adopted by the Orissa government in 1936. One group migrated to Palhara and the other to Dhenkanal. The group to Palhara adopted wheat cultivation and got absorbed into the local peasant caste community, while the other group to Dhenkanal started making baskets and got absorbed into the local oilmen caste. S.C. Dubey had reported similarly case among the Rajgonds, Surjit Sinha among the Bhumij of West Bengal, and the Mandelbaum on the Urali of Travancore. B.K. Roy Burman gave the classification of Indian tribes basing on their attitude toward the Hindu civilization. The four tribes are incorporated tribes which have become completely incorporated into the caste society, positively oriented tribes like Oran and Santals, who have incorporated some traits of caste society and Hinduism but have retained their tribal status. Negatively oriented tribes like some tribal communities of Northeast India who nurture alienation toward the mainstream society due to historical reasons, and indifferent tribes like in Arunachal Pradesh who are equally oriented towards Hinduism and Christianity. What Roy Burman identified is the perception of tribes toward the mainstream society. According to M.N. Srinivas, the Hindu way of life should comprise the mainstream approach because caste and religion are two essential characteristics of mainstream culture. However, The criticism to this view came mainly from Roy Burman, who opined that it would exclude the communities of Northeast India and others who are non-Hindus in the mainland. The interaction between Hindu civilization and tribes has been continuing for centuries, if not millennia. However, the existence of tribal religion in many pockets of India has remained out of contact with caste societies and Hinduism owing to both geographical and historical reasons. Thus, among the tribes of Northeast India and elsewhere, there might be similarities with the Hindu beliefs and practices, especially with regards to worshipping of nature and reverence of celestial bodies. Nevertheless, to circumscribe these tribes within the Hindu fold basing on these characteristics would involve the politicization of religious identity, since it would require an imposition of the embracive Vedic or Hindu worldview on these tribes, although most of these indigenous religions have developed according to their own genesis. Importantly, the impact of world religions like Hinduism and Christianity has made the religious identity and affiliation more complex among the tribes, giving rise to newer religious processes, dilemma, and even religious tensions. We will discuss the revival of tribal religion. The religious revivalism and identity consciousness among the tribes is an important aspect of modernization. The development of Doi Polo among the Thani speaking group like Adi, Aptani and Hilmiri, Bhagat movement among the Oran and Munda, Singh Khasi movement among the Khasi, and the recent development of Adi Dharam in central India are a result of religious adaptation and threat perception. These religious movements have emerged in response to the influence of Christianity and Hinduism. Thus, there is an attempt to codify religious teachings, build worshipping places, organize regular worshipping sessions, and develop text, etc. Similar to the world religions, in this process, there are attempts to revive the traditional beliefs and practices, but also many elements have been borrowed from Christianity and Hinduism, giving rise to the more organized form of tribal belief or religion and identity. Nevertheless, not all tribes have been successful in reviving their religious tradition. For instance, tribes like the Gonds, Bhils, Bhumij and Tharus have largely assimilated within the Hindu fold, while in the Northeast India, tribes like the Naga, Kuki and Mizo have embraced Christianity in a large numbers. Also, in many cases, conflicts have emerged between the converts and adherents of traditional faith. Moreover, even within the revived religious tradition, there are disagreements among the adherents with regards to maintaining the pristine religious identity and what elements to imbibe from other faiths. The educated middle class tribals are responsible for the revival of tribal religion. However, in recent times, tribal intellectuals like Talum Rukbo in Arunachal Pradesh and Ram Dayal Munda in Jharkhand, who is, in the words of Paul Radin, can be called as religious formulators, have innovated the tribal religious identity in the midst of unprecedented socio-cultural change. Such individuals are giving new directions to the organizations and development of tribal religions and also providing new dimensions to ethnographic studies. Tribal religion in India has undergone tremendous change, which has to be tackled at the backdrop of social change. Also, there is no singular concept within which to conceptualize and identity tribal religions. As such, the term tribal religion requires careful examination and study. So students, let us summarize what we have learned in this module. As I told you, we have learned about the definition of religion, the theory and concept of religion, tribal religion and changes in tribal religion. The impact of other faiths on tribal religion is significant. For instance, a huge chunk of northeastern tribes have converted into Christianity, while in central India, many of the tribes have adopted the Hindu way of life. There is a resurgence of religious identity among the Indian tribes. This has given rise to religious revivalism among the Indian tribes like Dhoni Polo among Arunachal Pradesh tribes, Saint Khasi among the Khasi of Meghalaya, and Adi Dharam in central India. The adherents of tribal religions are adapting to contemporary situation where they have imbibed certain beliefs and practices of dominant religions. For instance, the development of permanent worship place, development of religious texts, and organized structure are some important developments. Religious revivalism among the tribes are mostly initiated and developed by intellectuals who influence the community at large. Thank you.